Hi, it's KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and Katies Roche is here. Chanteuse and member of Dandelion Stompers. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
Yeah. Of course, it's summer season. A lot of gigs. Kind of starting to, put the lid on the summer of 2024. But I know that the Dandelion Stompers have a couple of big gigs to close out the summer coming up.
We do. And actually, we played the most shows we've ever played in 2023. And then as 2024 rolled around, we were just maybe a little tired, and we haven't played as many shows this year. And that's great. I mean, we've been doing it for 10 years this year. And so,
Made an album.
Have another one coming out. I can talk a little bit more about that. But we are playing the Friday night concert series downtown on the Iowa City Ped Mall, part of Summer of the Arts.
Gig.
It's such a great gig. It's always an honor to be asked to play. We've got the whole night on August 23rd. We'll play from 6:30 to 9.
Ooh, no opening band. You're doing the whole thing.
No, I mean, honestly,
got your work cut out for you.
I love a nice long show. You really get into the groove. You're really warmed up there, and by about 2.5 hours, you're pretty warmed up. But yeah, we'll really be able to dig into it. So we're excited.
Any new tunes? Anything that you guys have been working on during this? I'm not going to say a layoff, but but they're not quite as so many shows. So you probably have had a chance to think about how the set looks and maybe make some changes and additions.
We've been digging into the New Orleans songbook, adding some of those tunes into it, and then trying to add in some tunes that I used to do that are era appropriate, and with some success. It's hard, it's funny. Like I have some of these songs that I've done for so long that I just have this way that I do them, and I realized one of the songs wasn't working, and I was like, it's me. It's me. I have this concept of how I did it 20 years ago. I got to bring it to where, what the lead sheet says, and then, get in sync with everybody else. So it's been funny, like after all these years of singing this music to catch yourself, cut yourself out and realize, I gotta line up. I gotta get in line here.
Well, that's, I am guessing that, many artists go through that, taking a look at their songbook, whether it's songs that they're just really familiar with or songs they wrote and going, oh no, I need to change this up a little bit.
I have a bandmate in Awful Purdy's, Nicole Upchurch, and she'll perform one of her songs that she wrote with Awful Purdy's one way, and she'll perform it with her band, the Fairlings, another way, and then she'll do it solo another way. And I just think, I think your brain is more flexible and agile than mine. She's a little bit younger than me. It's good. It's good to try to wrap your head around something old in a new way.
So you did an album fairly recently, but now have another one coming out.
Yeah. So we were hoping to release the second album this year. And I think it might be closer to the spring. I think it's going to come together for that. We recorded everything for 2 albums in this just wild circumstance of a tornado bearing down.
I remember that story.
Yes. On the,
talk about on the clock.
We were on the clock trying to get everything in the can, and we realized when we were packing up on day one, waiting for trying to get home before the tornado hit, that we still had 2 more days in the studio, and we'd already recorded enough for an album. So we thought, well, let's just go for 2. So Whirlwind Sessions 2 is gonna come out. I think either the very end of the year or at the top of next year.
So for those who have heard the band and maybe don't know its origin story, we've told you've told it to me before, but the New Orleans sound of the 20s, not something every band takes on as the main thrust of what they do. How did this all come together?
Well, Chris Clark and I, who started this band, have known each other for a long time. And he had a 1910s band called Mutiny in the Parlor that was great fun.
Oh, I remember Mutiny in the Parlor. Yeah,
loved that band. Monica Bazile on washboard, and they had sousaphone it's in it sometimes, and it was just really fun, really really good stuff. And I guess that era of the 10s, he was started to get interested in the 20s. And so I think I lamented to him that I was really missing singing jazz. And he said, well, let's try to do something. And I played with a horn player, had like a sax player in an ensemble, and maybe brought some horn players in for horn sessions, for recordings, but hadn't really worked with like that kind of powerhouse. And instantly it just made me want to sing my butt off. And it was just so much fun. So here we are 10 years later. And I think back to some of those early rehearsals and looking over and was like, wow, these trumpet players, they have like the New York Times laid out on the floor in front of them. They're really like trying to stay informed. And then I realized that's where they were dumping their spit valves. So, oops, learned that one early on. Took me a couple practices. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
How has the band evolved over the last decade?
Well, it's mostly the original members. We didn't initially have a drummer, and we added Tim Crumley into the mix, which Tim initially...
Always a happy thing when you could bring Tim Crumley into the band.
But Tim was playing trumpet with us to start off, and a great trumpet player. And then one show, I'm not sure how it worked, but he sat in on the drums, and I looked at him, and I had missed the memo about Tim as a drummer. I just didn't, and I said, Tim, you're a really good drummer. And then I talked to some other people, and they're like, Tim's kind of the it drummer.
He's kind of the go-to
he's kind of the guy.
For
and
a lot of bands.
Well, what were you doing
corridor?
playing trumpet? No, so that was one evolution. We had Katie and Ira Greenstein, father and daughter duo in the band, and Ira has since transitioned out of the band into retirement, and so we miss him not being a part of the project anymore. And we'll have people sub in. I think the other thing that evolved in the beginning, I was the only person that sang, and maybe Chris would do a song, and then I had a summer of a back injury, and we had a bunch of shows booked.
Well, one of them was mine.
Well, and so folks stepped up, and we were able to make sure we played those shows. And
and make no mistake, you were missed at Jazz Under the Stars. But
just walking in here today, I had the whole like FOMO heartbreak feeling of having missed that show.
But you're absolutely right. The rest of the band came through, and and for those who may not have ever seen the band before, they would have thought, oh, this is tight.
This is great.
Tight band. Yeah, they're really good.
I mean, I remember I was listening on the radio at home, and I heard Mark Jansen do one of my songs that's just 8,000 words crammed into a line. And I thought, how the heck did he get this together in 24 hours? But, that's talent right there. That's, everybody came through. And that's
we'll have to get the full original lineup at one of our concerts here pretty soon.
I'll take your word on that. We would absolutely love to be invited back. And that's a great series, what you guys are doing. Yeah.
So Friday night concert series on the 23rd, right?
That's a Friday night,
all right.
6:30 to 9. That's
what else is coming up in the fall?
And then we're also playing Wilson's Orchard on September 8th, and that's from 3 to 6, so another nice long gig. And if you haven't been to Wilson's, it's such a sweet gig, especially in the fall. They've got, all these different kinds of apple treats, apple turnovers, cider, all the goodies. They also have sandwiches, so you can come and just like plan on having a meal there, bring your lawn chairs or sit at the tables out there under the trees, and it's just a really nice afternoon.
Well, and that's the thing. You don't have nice afternoons to relax and listen to music very often. It's usually at night, and even for those of us, not of a certain age where you don't want to be out late. There's something about it. It just seems like wrong that you're stealing somehow. Well, I'm just going to go take an afternoon and go listen to music.
My dream gig starts at like 2 p.m. and ends at 5, so 3 to 6 is almost perfect. Yeah, no, I think it's really nice because then, people like us who maybe want to be in bed by 9, and then people who have smaller kids, they get to see that music. That's one of the things I've always loved about the Summer of the Arts programming. There's so much that's accessible to families, and then Wilson's right in there with their accessible programming for families too. So kids of all ages. You can come on out for that.
Oh, well, so a couple of fun gigs coming up in the fall, and then you work on the album, get that released next spring, and the whole cycle turns. It just starts all over again, doesn't it?
It sure does. And I think one of the things that keeps us inspired, as we're doing this, playing this music, is these dancers that come out. Swing dance clubs have cropped up in Cedar Rapids and in Iowa City. I actually just today saw there's a whole new swing dance club in Cedar Rapids that I hadn't heard of, in addition to 5 Seasons Swing, which has been kicking for, I don't know, for a long time now, giving lessons, getting people, comfortable social dancing in public spaces after they've, maybe taken a couple classes. And then in Iowa City, they've got the Iowa City Swing Group, and they meet on Thursdays at PS1 and give lessons there. And every time I try to tell someone about it, they're like, "Oh yeah, I already know about it. Like I've already been like, it must be hopping," because I feel like I'm sharing old news with everybody. But so if you're interested in joining in on that dance floor, I'd say first thing, just do it. If you see people dancing at one of our shows, just get out there. They're going to welcome you. They're going to show you some moves. It's the most friendly, embracing environment you can ask for. But if you want to, maybe master a few moves, get to some of those classes, and then you can see what happens to me on stage when I see these dancers. I get completely blissed out, and I have to remember to sing, and it just makes me so happy to see people dancing.
You start watching the show, and then you forget that you are the show.
Chris has multiple times had to go, "Katie," and I'm like, "Yes, oh yes, singing. That's my job, not just observing these wonderful dancers." But it's pure joy. I mean, swing dancing is just one of my favorite artistic expressions.
Well, and you're right. It is just as much of a show to
absolutely.
get to watch and participate.
Yep.
As as it is to sit and listen to the music. And I know when the gigs I've been in, including Jazz Under the Stars, boy, the dancers turned out and found a space to do it.
Oh yeah, they'll dance. I mean, they'll dance on surfaces that I think are probably not even ideal. They're really ready to go for it, and it's a symbiotic relationship. I mean, we provide the music, they provide the entertainment. Wait a minute.
We won't tell the rest of the band. For the rest of the band, you said that. So the Dandelion Stompers in concert for the Friday night concert series on August 23rd, downtown on the Ped Mall with Summer of the Arts, and then September 8th at Wilson's Orchard. And if people want to keep track of, maybe pick up the album or just kind of keep an eye on what you guys are doing, what's the best way to find out more online?
Absolutely. You can follow us at dandelionstompers.com. Go to our website. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. And and we'll be playing a lot more shows coming into the fall and spring. So we're going to be excited to see everybody again.
Great. Katie, thanks for stopping by. It's always good to catch up with what's going on with the band.
Thanks for having me, Dennis.
Thanks again. You can hear The Culture Crawl live on the radio many weekdays at 10:30 or download the podcast. Watch or listen on your own schedule at kcck.org/culture or using your favorite podcast app. You can also watch our videos. They're on our Facebook or YouTube channels. Our producer is Lydia Kilgore. I'm Dennis Green. I'll talk to you later.